Are we alone? Listen, I love words, but I respect them too. And what I mean is, I love the sound of them, but they gotta have a meaning. I'll give you a word that sounds good that has no meaning. That word is authentic. Anyone think they can define that? And don't give me no prevarications, because it means absolutely nothing. I'll give you an even bigger phony. That word is original. You want a real toothache? You chew on that one for a while, because there is no such thing as original. Were Shakespeare's works original? Not a one of them. They all owe bundles to previous works in history. Well, how about the great painters? I'll make you a bet who contributed what to which, but don't bet the farm, because you'll lose it. Well, you take the geniuses, Rembrandt, Michelangelo, Joe DiMaggio. Original? No, not a one of them. They all just took advantage of works that was stacked up waiting for them, and then each added his own personal MacGuffin. In my observation, we humans is always adding and altering all the time, every day, and so there's really no such thing as original. Or fake, for that matter. It's all just part of the flow. You want it for instance? Alright, you take the manner of Van Gogh's ear. You know, the one he chopped off and sent to the commercial lady of his acquaintance? Well, the original one sold for a good price, and it's been selling ever since. But I happen to know that all those ears were handmade and molded out of chipped beef and beeswax for the tourist trade. Don't sneer, my friend. In shape, they were far superior to the one taken off poor Vincent's noggin. And a lot less hairy, too. Have you ever been to the Louvre? You know, that museum in Paris. And you felt the frisson as you stood there staring at the Mona Lisa? Well, what if I was to tell you that while you stood there feeling those icy fingers up and down your spine, what you was actually looking at was... No, I shouldn't. You keep your delusions. They're precious. How about the churches in Europe, where you find all those relics? Nails from Noah's Ark, toes and noses and hanks of hair from the saints. And the bestseller of all time? Pieces of the true cross. As you stood there staring reverently at that hunk of cross, did you ever consider that if all those hunks were put together, that cross would stand somewhat taller than the Chrysler Building and need a forest the size of Siberia to be chopped down to build it? Now, while we're talking about fakes versus so-called originals, I'd like to draw attention to my esteemed colleague, Poodles Cannelloni, who discovered that the best way to make money was just make it, which he did for years and years by printing it off. Now, like every ethical forger, he expected nothing less than perfection, which ultimately led to his downfall. His $50 bills were so superior to the government's they aroused suspicion. Now, what I'm getting at is, it was actually his integrity which brought him low. The government slapped him with 20 years in the joint when what they should have done was hire him to run the mint. Now, let me give you the tip to a good forgery. Every ethical forger, no matter what he's trying to copy, it must come out better than the original. Not as good, mind you, better. And what in this world of commerce and art hasn't been duplicated, replicated, and imitated for the fare thee well? Nothing. Nothing, my friend. So you just name your heart's desire and you shall have it. Or a reasonable facsimile thereof. In closing, here's a little quote that I thought up. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. And for the truth of that, you have my personal guarantee. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do.